Hello, and welcome to The Kosh. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and The Kosh is a podcast that spotlights the people who have had an association with the Kosh or the surrounding Fox Cities area. Good morning, Kosh listeners. How are we doing today? Hopefully fabulous. It's a little gloomy today, but nonetheless, today is Jazz Fest in Oshkosh, and I am super excited about Jazz Fest. I totally want to go kick it there. I went last year, and I was actually blown away by how good it was. So this year, the first time you go, you don't know what to expect. But since this is year 2, I'm going hard. I'm going to have an amazing, amazing time at Jazz Fest. So I'm super excited about that. Other than that, you already know what I'm going to say. It's that time. I don't know why I get these amazing, amazing guests. But once again, the Kosh does not disappoint. This week we got another amazing guest. And without further ado, this week's guest is Jessica Haessly.
Yes.
I got it right?
Awesome, yeah.
Okay. I am infamous for slaughtering last names. Also infamous for forgetting to ask people to how do you enunciate your last name? I just slaughter it up.
Oh, yep, I've been there.
Yeah. How are we doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing great.
All right.
I didn't know the Jazz Fest was happening, so I might want to go check that out.
You might. Yes, in the main act, it starts at like 1:30 and it goes to like 8:30.
Okay.
The main act is Take 6. And that's pretty, in the jazz world, I'm like, whoa, we got Take 6 in the Kosh.
Nice.
Facts.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about it. I want to go kick it and check that out. But ready to jump in?
Yeah.
Okay. Jessica, can you please share a little something about yourself and what is your connection to the Kosh or the surrounding Fox Cities area?
Yeah, so surrounding Fox Cities mostly. I've been in and around Oshkosh, and even just driving through, I'm like, oh, that looks like a cool place, and was looking up, thinking about getting here earlier, didn't. Looking up coffee shops, like maybe I'll go in early and stop at a coffee shop and then go, and yeah, that might have been a better plan. But yeah, so my family, I grew up in a military family, so both my parents actually met in the Marine Corps. We lived in Arizona for a while, and then we moved up here when I was about 11. So formative years, moving from AZ to WI. And
how was it?
Did you been here ever since?
did you have to do a lot of moving because you had military parents?
We did, but a lot of it was early on before I knew. So I was born in North Carolina. I know at one point we lived in Alabama, but I was too young to remember those. I mostly remember our time in Yuma, Arizona. It's like this. It's funny to say small city because technically in Arizona standards, it's a small city, but it had way more people than Appleton. So.
Okay. so for our standards, it would be a big city.
Yeah.
All right. That's fair.
But kind of like the southernmost part of Arizona. So you could legitimately fry an egg on the sidewalk in the middle of summer.
Yeah. See, man, yeah. I get why people dig Arizona, but that heat from everything that I hear, and I heard it's only gotten worse. So
yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know if I could handle it. Now, and I love warm. I love
the heat. So, but I do I find that I actually do, and this is probably strange for some people, I do like the humidity here.
Oh.
I like to be warm and moist.
Okay. Yes, that is. Yeah.
All right, that sounds funny.
Fair enough.
So moved up here when we were kids, and it was an adventure to us. But it took a while to acclimate because we'd been homeschooled for a couple of years. We started out in elementary school, started out going to public school, and then I was homeschooled, or me and my two younger sisters were homeschooled for a couple of years, and one of those was here in Wisconsin. We were actually living with my grandma in Menasha. And then after my parents' divorce, my mom needed to get a job, and so there was no more homeschooling. And so we went back into the public school system, and it was just so different because I've always been so independent and so confident in who I am as a person. And now so when I started going back into the public school system, I'm just like, oh, now there's this kind of weird dynamic because I hadn't been maybe as well socialized. And so maybe a little bit more awkward and, it didn't quite fit in and all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, all that stuff that builds character, I guess. Maybe.
Eventually.
Maybe.
Not at the time.
Not at the time.
It just builds stress.
Yeah.
Youthful stress.
100%.
Yeah. I could say so. Two other siblings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
I have two younger sisters, and one is still in the area. One is in San Francisco, which is kind of nice because we try to get there about every year-ish to see her and stay with her and enjoy the California weather.
Oh yeah, it's nice if you got somewhere to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would be sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many years does that make you in Wisconsin then now?
Yeah, so that was 1995 when we moved here. And so, whatever that is, 20, 30, so many years.
Yeah, it's been some years. It's years.
Yeah, it's been a few years,
Yeah.
26 years or something like that, 27. It's been a while, maybe more than that.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna math it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't want to look. I'm not going to try to put any ages or numbers together.
Right.
I'm just going to say we'll go with 95.
Yeah.
That's good. That's fantastic. Okay. You ready to jump into the first segment?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
First segment is what in the world is going on with. That's where you start with the phrase "what in the world," and then you tell us what's on your mind.
Mm-hmm. So what in the world is going on with people not stepping into their power?
Bruh. Oh, let's talk about that.
What's funny about it is I get it because I get in my own head so often, but I really, really believe that if everyone really did this deep work of getting honest, getting real with themselves about their intrinsic value and about who they really want to be, who they want to show up as in the world, and what they truly value, and really go for that, it would solve everything. Everything that we consider to be a problem in this world, if every single person stepped into their power, into their empowerment, I think that we could easily solve some of these more complex issues that we have going on, whether it's healthcare or whether it's childcare or whatever it is. Yeah,
I could see that, but I think it's tough.
It is.
I think trying to step into your own power. I think that maybe one of the biggest challenges would be how do you learn to do that? Right. Yeah. Because it's not something that is typically taught, not even necessarily by you. Some parents do a really good job of that. And then some parents, not so much. Mm-hmm. Right. And so where do you figure that out?
Yeah.
Where do you even figure out that you should step into your own power? Mm-hmm. But now, since we're on this topic, what do you think the biggest barriers are?
So I can speak for myself because a lot of the things that I think about and speak about are oftentimes note to self. So it's not just me saying, people need to do this, but it's like I need to do this too. So I think one of the biggest barriers is that can be imposter syndrome.
Oh, yes.
Right.
We talk about that often here.
And then people having experiences, like I've had experiences where it seems like somebody doesn't actually care about what it is that you're doing or who you are.
Bruh.
Right. So just being so confident in who we are, in who you are as a person, that you, like, I know that I have to care more about the things that I do than anybody else if they're going to get done.
Right.
Yeah.
That's okay. Okay. I'm feeling that. I think it's a tough one. I think it's something people might fight with all the time. I think it's a really tough one for people of color, to step into your power. I think it works two ways. You either get to the point that you know you have to because you might feel like you're in a constant battle with the world. And therefore you understand that you must step into your power because if no one else is going to do it for you, or if you don't make it happen, it ain't happening.
Right.
But then again, it can also work the other way where you're like, I don't know if I'm allowed to step into my own power because all these forces keep telling me that I'm not supposed to, or I can't, or you shouldn't. Right.
Yeah. I was fortunate, and I think that's right. There is, it can be a privilege to have parents that have been supportive. And mine have in a lot of ways. We definitely were not financially set, but my dad is Black, my mom is white. I never really have considered my race into, or my races into anything that I do, but I was thinking about this actually in 2020 when a lot of stuff was going down, and I came up with, I have racially ambiguous privilege. Like, because people don't often know what I am.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
They're not usually easy to judge me based on the color of my skin because there's an uncertainty there.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And if I wouldn't guess, because it would be a hard guess, because you, to me, visually, you could fall in all sorts of ethnic cultures. You could have been Hispanic, Native American. Yep. I could keep going on. Middle Eastern. Like, seriously, I could see that where, So I don't really think about my race until somebody else brings it up. And I think about it more. I have my middle sister, she has the tighter curls, hair, that kind of thing. So it's a little bit more apparent. And I know that she has had more struggles in that space of being looked at differently because of her little bit darker skin and the hair. And so, I know it's a thing. It's real.
It's real. Yes.
Bruh.
All right. That's fair. What in the world is going on with is, what in the world is going on with Trump's mugshot? Like, straight up. And gosh, listeners, I want you to understand. First of all, I think this mugshot is the most gangster thing I've ever seen. I hate to admit it, but I'm loving it. It's so good. Matter of fact, the mugshot is so good. There's two things that I thought of. It looks so ominous he should be like the next Lex Luthor in a Superman movie. Like, it looks that good. Like, some Marvel movie needs to pick him up as a villain because it looks like it's that good.
Yeah.
Like, it goes hard, right? And my second thought was for this mugshot, if I am a gangster rapper, I'm putting that on my album cover because it's so gangster. It's so hard. This mugshot, he looks so just hard in it, and I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, trust me, I'm not saying I'm admiring the person, but I am saying this mugshot is a worthy mugshot. Like, this thing goes hard.
So it's so funny that you bring that up because I was talking to my husband about doing the show and going through the outline, and he said that. He said, you should say what in the world is going on with Trump's mugshot. But it is. Yeah. And I'm big rap hip hop fan. So I support that.
Bruh.
I'm so serious. Like, I just feel like
just put a chain on him.
But no, he doesn't even need a chain.
Doesn't need a chain.
But I mean, that mugshot should just be on some gangster rap album. Yeah, like an old Ghetto Boys album or something. Like, I don't know. It's just so wild to me. And I don't know. And so it's just, and here's my other thing. What makes you decide to take that? Right? That was very intentional. Like, that wasn't like a surprise mugshot or I'm angry or I'm out of it mugshot. Like, you know, people get caught up and you had a night out and you get arrested and you got this mugshot or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. This was on purpose with intention, and that's the look he wanted, because the minute he had it, they had already started fundraising on it. He's got t-shirts and mugs. My man is selling with that mugshot on there. So this was no accident.
Right.
What do you think to have that in your mind to be like, this is how I'm going? They gonna arrest me and I gotta have a mugshot. This is the mugshot. Mm-hmm. I'm going hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right, like a lot of supporters want somebody that looks strong, right? They want somebody that is gonna, I don't know.
Hey, well, see, yeah. I don't know if that looks as strong as it just looks mischievous. That, to me, that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, you know, our first president to ever get a mugshot, well, he did not disappoint.
Bruh.
That's what he was going for.
Yeah, that's what he was going for. So, all right. So, all right, we're jumping into the next segment. Next segment is word association. This is where I say a word and the guest tells us what's on their mind. So, and we always start off with our unifying word, our word that brings us all together. That word is always food.
Friends.
Yes.
Yeah. I love hosting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think food is one of those things that brings us, I mean, everybody says this, but it's true. It's one of those things that can really bring us all together. When I have the space for it, I like making food. I like trying out different recipes. And I like eating the food that other people make. My husband makes amazing soups. He just made a tomato soup with some of our little tomatoes from the garden. It was absolutely amazing. Oh, so good.
So, okay. With the cherry tomatoes?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, we have a ton of them.
We do. Our cherry tomato plant this year just went bonkers. Yeah. But my other tomatoes haven't started turning red yet. Mm-hmm. I'm waiting. Okay. I like that. That is true for food. Food is the one thing that I don't care who you are, but you have a good meal around. Yeah. You can disagree on 99% of everything, but you'll break bread with each other and giggle and laugh and enjoy that food and hum together as you pound
Yeah,
it
because
down.
you can always come back to, have a little debate, and then come back to, this spaghetti is amazing.
Yes, that's exactly it. Fair. Cocktail or beer?
So I'm a wine person, 100%. I love wine. I like checking out different wine bars in the area. I can name them all off.
Yeah.
Probably. One place that we frequent is Mondo. We're in Appleton, so we live close to there. I like, what was the place here? Gardenias?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that place here in Oshkosh. But I think it also depends on where you are. So if it is clearly a beer place, if it is a brewery especially, or if they're a place that really promotes their beer, I'll usually do a beer because their wine is probably not going to be great. Not always, but in a lot of my experience, that's the case. If it's a cocktail place, they're like, hey, we really promo our cocktails, like a place like Ambassador in Appleton is a small little cocktail place. I'll usually go for a cocktail. They also have good wine there too. And if it's clearly a wine place, then 100% getting the wine. Yeah.
Okay. My philosophy on wine is it's juice.
It is juice.
But no, I mean, like, my daughter will tell you that's just it. When it's in the house, there's no wine glass. I drink it out the bottle. It is juice. I treat it as such.
You drink it however you need to drink it.
Hey, look, I'm not saying I'm shamed about it. I have no shame about it, actually. And I'm just saying, if you ever run into me and you're like, you want some wine, the first thing I'm going to say to you, I always say, oh, you mean some juice? Yes, I'll take some juice. Let's make that happen.
Nice.
All right. Concert.
Pixies.
Oh.
Yeah. We went to see the Pixies in 2019, and it was such a memorable experience just because, and I believe that we were at the Pabst in Milwaukee. That's Milwaukee. Right?
Yeah, Pabst is Milwaukee.
Yeah, so we were waiting to hear back on a house that we had just put an offer in for that morning. And that night, as we're watching the Pixies, we're having a good time. We're just kind of hanging out a little bit away from the crowd on like a balcony area. Got a text from our realtor saying that we got the house. So it was like an extra special moment. It was our first house, and it was cool. It's a good experience.
Pixies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Streaming.
What did I say about streaming? Extra Life. Oh, yeah. So on the podcast I co-host, we had a gentleman who is a gamer, but he does gaming for this. He does a little bit of fundraising with that gaming. So Extra Life is an organization where you can live stream your gaming or you can fundraise for some cause. And he fundraises for, Wisconsin children for mental health services through gaming. So he has a 24-hour, they pick a day each year, and it's November 4th. They have a 24-hour live stream, and he does like tiered stuff. So if you give such and such amount, I'll do 10 push-ups, right? In the middle of, right. You're live streaming your games, but there's also other things going on with it. But yeah, I think about Extra Life and what a great cause that is. And I'm not a big gamer, but I love when people get creative with their passions, and not only get creative, but get creative for a cause.
Right.
Yeah, it's super cool. So
yeah, I've never heard of that, but
I want to host a 24-hour watch party at my house. So
that's
what
are we watching?
We're watching Andrew is the guy's name.
Oh.
We're going to watch him
Play
games.
Okay.
For 24 hours. It's a lofty goal, but.
Is he local?
He is. Yeah, he's in Appleton.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That does sound like I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah. I'll get you the link.
We'll put it in the podcast
episode.
notes.
Yeah.
All right. Shop local.
Oh shoot! You know what? I forgot to actually. Write down who these people were. So I'm a part of a women's networking group called Midday Women's Alliance, and they just did a Entrepreneur Grant event. So every year they give $2,000 to an up-and-coming entrepreneur, and all of the ladies who were nominated in that have great businesses, awesome things that they're doing. So I guess since I totally forgot to actually bring the list of the different organizations or the different the companies,
we can
just
put them
look up. Yeah,
we can put them in the podcast notes.
Look them up.
Yeah, we'll just put the links in the podcast notes.
Yeah, so I gotta always give a shout out to my up and coming entrepreneur people because it is hard.
Bruh.
Facts.
Yes.
Well, if it was easy, everybody would do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Resources.
Ooh, okay. I think I was going to write something in there, and then it's a changeable, so I was like, well, maybe I should just say, say something on the fly.
Well, you can. This is your episode.
I know. So I think about my show notes and we have a ton of resources in there. So That's Deep with Eden and Jess is a podcast in the area, and we touch on a lot of mental health stuff, a little bit of abuse stuff. So there's a lot of resources in our show notes from many different episodes to help people guide them through, difficult mental health issues and as well as abuse stuff. So, I know here in Oshkosh, there's the Christine Ann.
Yeah, Christine Ann Center.
Yeah. And Appleton has the Harbor House. And Fond du Lac actually has a Solutions Center. So those are things that I think about because not that I've had personal experience with abuse, but I know people who have. So it's something that I think about. Yeah.
Last word.
Mm-hmm.
Diversity.
It's important. Yeah. I think we see it in nature. I know I've watched and read different articles about the importance of ecological diversity, and I think that's true in our communities as well. It's important to have to see diverse perspectives. I had helped out with this gentleman, Neo Medina, and he does.
Shout out to Neo. Neo's as we call a Kosh alumni, so he's got an episode out there.
Yes, he does. Yeah, I listened to that one. Yeah, so he just worked with Boys and Girls Club in Appleton, putting up their mural with students from Appleton schools and teaching them their value and worth, right?
Yes.
Teaching youth their value and worth. And having them paint themselves and see themselves in the community. So I think it's important not to get siloed in our own little bubbles of our opinions and what we think, and to be able to listen to people empathetically, even if, and maybe even especially if, the things that people believe are antithetical to what we believe, just to gain understanding across the aisle.
It's nice when it can happen.
When it can happen, yeah. It's rare.
I just think right now we're really polarized, so it's a lot more challenging to just. I think we have points in times where we start to have, even though we may see things differently, but we do kind of come to a space where we understand there's more similarities than there's a difference, and then we can speak in that space. But then there's times where we just really are like, you're really different, and I'm not really trying to hear all that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's okay too. I think it's just as important to acknowledge our differences as it is to acknowledge our similarities. But I do think that it is important to acknowledge similarities, because that's where I know I get held up sometimes. If I'm thinking that I'm so different from other people, then it does hold me back from kind of going back to the first segment of, stepping into my power. If I can't see anything similar to you and I want to be in that space, it's going to be hard for me to operate in that space.
Facts. Okay. Ready for the next segment?
Mm-hmm.
Next segment is the Kosh Hidden Gems. This is your opportunity to tell us about a hidden gem. Doesn't have to be in the Kosh. It can be anywhere. Maybe it's something everybody knows and it's this particular thing about it, or maybe it's something that no one knows about, which I always get super excited about, because then it forces me to get out here and go check some things out.
Yeah. So I gotta talk about the 602 Club.
Let's go.
Yeah. It is a house. It's just a house in Appleton called the 602 Club. There's actually people that live in it, but the main space is open to artists to show their work. They often have musical events, both indoor and outdoor. There was a sauna. I don't know if the sauna is coming back, SOV or SOV sauna there in the wintertime. Just like this mobile building.
Yeah, just a mobile sauna?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was like,
okay.
It's so cool.
This is fascinating. Okay, because I don't know anything about this.
So it's this, and again, I don't know if he's going to be coming back to the 602 Club. I really hope so. But yeah, he has this building that he can move around, and kind of like a food truck, but a sauna.
Bruh.
That's fair. I'm trying to imagine this, and I'm super curious about it.
Yeah, it's like this kind of bright, but like a little bit brighter than a midnight blue building. And
Okay.
I've gone in it. It's amazing. You can have essential oils and all this kind of thing. So
Can anyone go to the 602 Club? How does it?
Yeah.
How did you become a member of the 602 Club, or how does that work?
So anybody can go to it. I found out about it many years ago. Maybe it was 2017 or something, when I learned about it. And I don't know how they're doing this, or if they're still doing this, but I've been giving them like $10, like an automatic $10 a month as like a member, but you don't really have to be a member. I just did air quotes, and we're recording. So
Don't worry. I usually I fill it in with things that are happening, so the listeners can understand the emotion in the space.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, there's been all kinds of cool things. I've guided yoga there. I've done some donation-based yoga there when I first got started in that space. So yeah, it's Andrew and Joanna Dane who own it, and maybe with somebody else too. But yeah, it's just this neighborhood, really cool, artsy community. I think they're trying to build a bar, like a little neighborhood bar in there right now. So, yeah. Film series have been in there. There's a local filmmaker, Len E. B., and he has done this winter film series where he'll pick one or two directors that maybe people know, maybe people don't, but usually some of their more obscure films or films that he really enjoys. And so we've been to a few of those winter film series. It's just a really, it's super cool, super cozy space.
I'm super curious about this now.
Yeah. They're on Facebook. Their website, the last time that I looked at it, is not updated. Like, it's just neighborhood folks that are kind of putting this thing together. So I would probably look to their Facebook page for updated information.
Sounds like a plan.
Yes.
There's something you mentioned that we haven't talked about yet, but from what I know about you, you're big into yoga.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that like, are you some type of special instructor in yoga? Is there a special type of yoga you do? Is it like, yoga fascinates me. Mm-hmm. My fascination with yoga started over COVID. And during that time when we were stuck here in the house, I was just like, okay, I'm going to find me a nice yoga YouTube video thing. And I did. I found like boho yoga. And like, I was doing it every day for a while, like, and it felt really, really good.
Yeah,
but then like most things, I kind of just lost it because life started moving again.
Yep.
But I'm always fascinated by yoga because it just seems like so many, let's say, stars or well-known people who like are trying, like, who find like their peace in life or center around it. Like, almost all of them mention yoga at some point. Mm-hmm. So I'm just curious about yoga as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I originally got into it, I was watching videos, and this was many, many years ago. And I got into it as like an alternative way to move my body. I've always been very, very much into fitness. My dad is a personal fitness trainer and self-defense instructor. So we've always been around gyms and weights and health equipment. So it was very much a physical thing for me at first. Now it has slowly become a little bit more meditative, and I'm enjoying more and more the slower versions, or the slower paced style yoga. I really enjoy leaving space for people in practices like a restorative yoga, where you have a ton of different props, cushions, blankets, bolsters, to help people really relax into poses. But I do like the challenging stuff too. So I would describe the types of yoga that I teach as vinyasa, which just means movement with breath. So moving a little bit faster paced, a little bit more flow style, and restorative yoga. And then there is yin yoga, but when I look into the science behind stretching, I like to think of it more as mindful stretch, because you don't really need to be in long held stretching poses for long in order to get the benefits of a stretch. So what I like to do in guiding yoga, and when I first started building my business, I was looking into, well, why are we doing these different movements? Are they really necessary? So headstand, I don't really do that as much, and I never guide it because it can be hard on people's cervical spine. Yeah. Yeah. So I like to pair like the science, like the body and brain science,
Right.
along with the traditional yogic movements, and see, okay, what really makes sense. And I always come into a room with a skeleton of a plan, or come to a client with a skeleton of a plan. But it's really based on, I like to teach more on, well, what's the energy in the room? So, and sometimes people will tell me, hey, can we just do a slower pace class today? And I'll accommodate that. But I think a good teacher will do a combination of knowing what your students need, but also making sure that you're challenging them, because you also have to know a little bit what they need. Like, they know what they need, but sometimes even for myself, I'll get a little bit lazy with my body, and I'll be like, okay, I need to challenge myself more, right? And then there's other times where I'm like, I'm pushing too hard. I definitely need to relax. But it takes time to know yourself. And I think yoga can help with that.
Fair. Are you teaching anywhere?
Yeah, I teach. So I teach in a space. Now it's going to be once a week. I teach in a space called Alternatives Holistic Health and Wellness. And that's in a set of brick buildings on the corner of 00 and Mead. And I teach at Yoga Elements, which is in Menasha. They're, I believe, the only space in Wisconsin with what is called the Iyengar wall. I don't use the wall as much, but Kathy, who teaches there, uses it. And it's just a fabulous way to get into poses differently. So you use this wall that has hooks, you hook straps in it, and yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. And then I also teach for Menasha Joint School District, their teachers and staff, and Brilliant Community Center.
That's a lot of yoga.
It's a lot, yeah. And on the Insight Timer app. Yeah, which is a meditation app, but you can host live classes.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
All over.
All over. That's fair. What's the Kosh need?
So I've talked to David Kelso about this, who is the co-founder of the Appleton Podcast Co-op. And he, I guess, has already talked to other people about this as well.
Shout out to David. David also is an alumni.
Yes. So I think it would be so cool to have a live local podcast event where, especially these interview type, either interview or conversation style local podcasts,
right,
where we just have an event where we do these live. It would be super, super cool.
It would be.
Yeah.
I've gone to record at events, but I didn't publish it live,
Mm-hmm.
But it is a totally different energy.
Yeah.
To like go to an event and just set up at a table and just let people walk up and sit down and, have a question prepared for them.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw at the Mile of Music, there's a podcast called The Other 22 Hours. It's a couple that talks to musicians about mental health on the road, just their experience of touring and of being a musician, of being a working musician, and all of the different challenges and rewards of that. And they did a live podcast at the Mile of Music that I went to. And it was really cool. And you could tell that they've been doing it for a while, because even live, it was so clean. It was so well done. And then they got to get questions from the live audience.
Oh.
So we were able to, I asked a question, and there's a couple other audience members that asked questions, and yeah, it was just really cool, kind of collaborative experience.
Big shout out to the local podcast community. I think it's amazing. There's all these podcasts that are popping up, and there's some really, really cool ones.
Yeah.
there's one in particular I've started listening to that People of Progression is kind of sponsoring. It's called The Biracial Effect.
Mm-hmm.
And these young ladies, they go hard.
Yeah, I listened to a little bit of the first episode, I think. Yeah, I haven't gotten through all of it, but yeah.
Yeah. And so like I've been listening to it, and I just love the conversation that's happening, because there's a lens of a biracial person conversation. There's a generational conversation. There is a woman conversation, a woman of color conversation. Like there's all these different lenses that they're having these conversations too, and acknowledging all of that while they're having the conversations.
Yeah.
And so I just want to give them a shout out. I love to see when that happens. And I do remember seeing somewhere some type of communication saying that you are going to start hosting on, I believe it's a third Thursday of the month.
Yes.
Is that correct? Where
Yeah.
podcasters can come who are part of the Appleton Co-op, podcast co-op, and come meet up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that idea came from actually my connection with Gary Arndt, who I've seen a number of times at the Pods and Pints. Mm-hmm. So there's the evening podcast meetup, and he's a local podcaster, does everything everywhere daily. Right? I think I said that right. Which is basically just like I shouldn't say basically. I mean, it's a lot of information. But if you want to get your trivia game up, that's a good podcast to listen to, random facts about stuff. But he had said, yeah, I don't really get out, and I haven't really been to a lot of places around the area. So I was like, oh, we should do a lunch, like places to eat. And so then I was thinking, oh, we should do a lunch, like for podcasters, something in between, because we have the evening one,
right,
and we have the morning one.
And I can't make either one of those.
Yeah.
So this lunch one actually excites me.
It looks like a lot more people will be able to do the lunch one too. So
Right.
I'm super excited to do it. I love getting together with people that are doing cool things in the area and hearing more about it. So yeah.
Okay. Next segment is what is quickly becoming my favorite segment here on the Kosh, and that is called Story Time. This is the opportunity for our guest just to share a story. It doesn't matter what it's about. It can be about absolutely anything. It's just another way for us to connect.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's the difficult one for me. So I'm trying to think of a story to tell. I just start singing when
I'm gonna say that's a Kosh first. Not sure we've ever had anyone break out in a song while they were figuring out the answer to their question, but we like it, and I think we should keep that.
Bruh.
I wish I could have recorded it in real time, and we would have made that one of the sounds during episodes.
I can record it, send it. Story to tell.
Oh my God, this might actually have to happen. That might be what we play before story time. Like
Awesome.
that might have to happen.
I support it. So stories. Let's see. Recent or older?
If I'm gonna guess, is there any other siblings besides your other two sisters? Is it just you, or is there another brother in there or anything?
No,
or is
there's
it
just two younger sisters.
and
Yeah.
you? Is
Yeah.
there any sister stories? Because that just seems like three sisters are gonna have an adventure. It's just my guess.
Yes, there is. So we did we did a girls' night out, and this was quite a few years back. No, let's go with this. Okay, here's the story. It's not really a story. It's more just like, this is a thing that we did one Christmas. But yeah, when we get together, we usually have a lot of fun, and it's usually around the holidays. Oftentimes my younger sister, who's in San Francisco, she'll come up and we'll spend some time. And there was a rosé Christmas where, right, you usually think about drinking rosé, or a lot of people think about drinking rosé during the summertime. It's more their summertime.
Bruh.
Summertime.
There's all sorts of sound. When we get done with this episode, we might just take some time to record various sounds, and they're going to become the new sounds of the Kosh. They just might have to happen.
I support it. So it wasn't just any rosé. So this is local-ish. It's in Wisconsin. We were getting the Wollersheim rosé. We just, for whatever reason, this one particular Christmas back in, 2016 or something, we were obsessed with the Wollersheim rosé. That particular year, whatever it was, they just did a really good job with their rosé, or we were just feeling it. I don't know what was going on. Something was in the air, but we literally went to the grocery store, because they actually sell it in grocery stores. And I think my sisters Joy and Jocelyn, we bought all of the bottles that they had on the shelf.
You bought them out?
Just bought all of them. I think there was like a dozen, right? Like a case, basically, of the rosé. And we just had a really good time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Case of wine. Yes. Did they look at you funny when you bought the case?
No
judgment.
Not that I remember. I mean, it's Wisconsin, right? Like,
oh, well, no. Yeah, no. Nobody looks at anybody.
That's the unfortunate thing about, but it is. It is what it is. But my sister Jocelyn is a phenomenal. She went to a really prestigious school in Scottsdale to be a chef. She has many different things have happened, but she's a phenomenal cook. Makes just the best food imaginable, and even she's vegan, and even, I shouldn't say even that, right? Like, you can make good vegan food, but a lot of people wouldn't think that you can make good, flavorful, amazing vegan food. But
right.
Yeah, anything that, whether it's vegan, vegetarian, whether it has meat, whatever, she makes amazing stuff. So, doing that kind of pairing with the Wollersheim, it was a good time. Yeah. It's not really much of a story.
No, that's the case of wine field trip around Christmas. That's a legitimate story. Yes. Because that was not the plan.
No. We happened to, I don't know why we happened to just pick up this bottle. I think at that time I was getting more into wine, but I was really interested in, I was trying to start a wine blog. So I was interested in, well, what does Wisconsin have for different things? So we happened to pick up this bottle, tried it. It was amazing. And we're like, let's get all of the bottles. And there we were. We drank it over. This wasn't just like one night of drinking 12 bottles.
Oh no, just three. Just three.
Just one bottle each. Yeah, it was over like a 1 or 2 week period, right? So
look, we're not here to judge.
I know.
We're not here to judge you. You didn't have to share that. We weren't going to judge. Not a lot, just a little.
And that's fine.
All right. I love that narrative. Okay, at this time, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Did you know there are children in the Fox Valley in need of hearing aids, but their parents struggle to provide them because of lack of insurance or high copays? I am Juliette Sturkins, audiologist and board member of Here in the Fox Cities, and proud that this small local nonprofit organization has helped fund hearing aids for some 30 kids. Your donation would help more children hear. Visit hereinthefoxcities.org to learn more and to see their smiles. Every child deserves to hear.
Okay. We are jumping into that time of the show. Every time. Love it. Every single time. It is time for Topic of the Week. Topic of the Week is where our guest, 99.9% of the time, picks the topic and shares something special with the Kosh listeners. So, Jessica, what's this week's topic?
Yeah, so this week's topic is meditation.
Meditation.
Yes.
All right.
Because I like to demystify it. I think it can seem like like something that's a little out there for some people, a little frou-frou, but I think it can be really, really simple. It's not about, and again, it's that idea of pairing the science with the tradition. Our brains are made to think. So I think a lot of times people think that meditation is just, you just sit and then you let go of all of your thoughts. I see it as you can sit, you can stand, you can walk, you can position your body however you like, and watch thoughts. Because we can never turn off our brains. Our brains are meant to be thinking
All the time.
Our the chemicals that are released in the brain are meant to create emotion within us. So we're emotional thinking beings. That doesn't shut off. But what meditation, I think, can do is give us some space, give us some pause to look at those things and do even a little bit of self-inquiry as to, I wonder where that emotion's coming from, or I wonder why I'm feeling this way, or I wonder where that thought is coming from, and allowing ourselves to observe, so more mindfulness style I'm thinking, but allowing ourselves to observe our experience in the world without judging our experience. And I always like to add inviting loving acceptance to our physical, mental, and emotional experience. I think meditation can be a way to accept ourselves. And when we can accept ourselves, I think that's when we can, I keep bringing it back to this, I think that's when we can start to make moves towards stepping into our power, being more empowered in our experience.
Sometimes I do think, I do a lot, I listen to a lot of like motivation or self-improvement podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. And almost all of them come down, it's somewhere within their top 3 things that you need to do. Meditation is always there. It's usually like journaling and meditation.
Yeah.
But they always come back to meditation and the practice of like just clearing your mind. Mm-hmm. How does meditation work for you?
For me, I see everything as potentially being a space for meditation. Even pauses in conversation, having conversation, I think, can be a form of meditation. It is just about focusing on present and being in the moment. So even if there's some thoughts that are coming in from past, or if I'm thinking about, I wonder what I'm going to have for lunch, which now I am thinking about that because I just said it.
and now you have me thinking about it because you just said it.
Bruh.
I'm just saying.
But the act of meditation is always coming back to, okay, I am here now, and noticing that. So clearing the mind, that is, I don't think it's not biologically possible. But what I think people are saying when they say clear the mind is really just pausing so that you can respond with a little bit more emotional intelligence when you move into spaces that are maybe more challenging or difficult. Things happen throughout your day and things like that. Journaling also, 100%. When we actually, anything that we do with that connects our intellect and our hands actually increases neural connections within the brain. So, which help to increase focus, helps to make better decisions. So even things like gardening or carpentry or art, like anything, writing actually with pen and paper in a journal, anything that connects brain and hands does that. And I don't know all of the ins and outs. It's all very complex, but there is a lot of research behind both journaling and meditation. So I like to look at the research behind things too. I think there is something to be said for, well, this feels good, so I'm going to continue to do it. And I think, that it's good for me, right? But I do think that it helps, at least for people that are a little bit more down to earth, like I consider myself to be more so, to be able to say, okay, and this is helping me, and there's research behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you since you instruct yoga, do you do guided meditations also?
I do. Yeah. So I guide in a typical yoga class. It's very subtle the way that I will guide meditation, if you will. It's more like light body scan, like notice your breathing or notice tension in the body, notice ease in the body, something simple as that. And I really like guided meditations. My husband and I, every single time, so Puff Daddy. Yes.
Wait, did you just say Puff Daddy?
Bruh.
Now I'm all in on this. Yes.
So he has a meditation on Audible called, I think it's called Honoring Yourself. And there will be nights where we just have a really hard time sleeping. And legit, like, we put on the Puff Daddy meditation.
Bruh.
I can't look at you with a straight face and think Puff Daddy and meditation in the same sentence.
But and it's so funny because there's one point where he's like, he says something like, oh, and if you want to, stretch out your legs, that's cool. Like, it's just like really, it's not the way that you would think about meditation, but that's what I love I love demystifying meditation, because it's not always just, people who have my voice, although I am starting a meditation podcast, but it's not always just like, now relax into the waves of the ocean and listen to but like, you have all these different kinds of meditations for different people's needs. Like, not everybody is going to like the same thing, but every single time, I swear, like, if you are having trouble sleeping, go to Audible, listen to the Puff Daddy meditation, it will put you to sleep. I don't know how he does it.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm about to, before you leave here, I'm downloading Puff Daddy's meditation.
Yes.
Because I am all about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're in this space. What about, we've talked about journaling, we've talked about meditation, so I might as well just go ahead and ask your take on affirmations.
Oh, yeah. So I think that they can be helpful. I have used them. I've had moments, seasons in life where I'll take Post-it notes and put them on my bathroom mirror. You are worthy. You are enough. This kind of thing. Or
Right.
I am. I think that affirmations can be super helpful. I also think that it's important to be honest with yourself with where you're at, because sometimes if you just really don't feel that, what is something like I will make a bunch of money or something, right? Something like that, like more of a almost like a prosperity gospel type affirmations. I don't know that those are necessarily helpful, because there's almost this like a wishful thinking to it,
Right.
rather than actually active working towards it. So I think when we are affirming or when we are working with affirmations, it has to be paired with some kind of action. I don't know. That's just kind of where my head is at right now. I might have a completely different opinion on it tomorrow.
Bruh.
Fair. That is, you know what? That was really real.
Yeah.
That was really real and honest, and we love it here on the Kosh. Is there anything else you'd like to share about meditation, or any of the other things that we covered in this realm of meditation, along with journaling and affirmations?
Yeah. So I am starting a meditation podcast.
Oh.
Called The Meditation Well, which I was surprised didn't already exist, but there aren't too many meditation podcasts when I was looking. So I'm starting that. It's going to be 3 times a week.
Yeah.
I've already scheduled out my first week. I've recorded the second week.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited.
I'm excited.
The trailer is out there and published.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
and
gonna check it out.
I built it based on what I like. So short meditations, like 2 to 10 minutes, a little bit of background music. I like that. And brings you right into the meditation. So I will have a little ad, like a host read ad at the beginning. So I'll be reading, and actually the first few ads are going to be for the other podcast that I do. So like, you know how podcasts work. You gotta legitimize it with the ad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there'll be a host read ad at the beginning, but then it gets right into the meditation. So if you want to know about the benefits of meditation, you can certainly reach out to me and ask, or you can Google it, right? Like, I'm not there to talk about the history or benefits or science. I'm there to guide you through a meditation. And so I built it around, well, if I was listening to a meditation podcast, what would I want to hear? Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. As you said this, all I could keep thinking is I built my meditation podcast around Puff Daddy and and how good Puffs is. Sorry. I got problems.
I love it.
All right. Well, it's that time. All right, Kosh listeners, we are starting to wrap up. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your mind and your ears. I think this is a pretty cool episode. There was lots of smiles and lots of giggles happening while we were making this happen. Kosh listeners, we are a work in progress. Please reach out to us. Let us know how we're doing. Don't ever hesitate to do that. Take time and send me an email. You can reach us at askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that is askthekosh@gmail.com. Let us know if you want to be a guest. Let us know if you've got guest recommendations. That's actually how I find guests often, besides people just reaching out often. So that's pretty cool. But please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Know that I read every single email and you will get a response. So we appreciate that. Secondly, Kosh listeners, please take the time and subscribe to this podcast and also leave reviews for the podcast. We want to raise the analytics. We think we got something pretty awesome here and we want more people to learn about it. The other thing, Kosh listeners, I would ask you to do is when you see the Kosh out there and we're putting our ad of the week out for the episode or releasing an episode, share with your friends. Yes, I'm just asking for free favors from you all so more people can learn about the Kosh, because once again, we think we have something pretty special here. Now, on to the best part of the show, hands down. It is shout out time. So Jessica, what do you got?
Yeah. So I have to give a shout out to Eden Weller of Weller Workshops. He is a deep thinker, empathetic listener, and a friend and co-host of the podcast That's Deep with Eden and Jess, where we have vulnerable, authentic, heart-centered conversations around a myriad of different topics. So gotta give a shout out to him and all of the guests that have been on our show and that will be on our show. Timber will be on our show in October, so I'm super excited for that.
Yes, I will be. And Kosh listeners, you already know that's a big deal because it's hard to corner me for an interview.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So I'm so glad. I'm so happy. Honored. Gotta give a shout out to Kathy Davis again.
This is your show. You can shout out. Keep going. Just keep going.
Yoga Elements. She's a phenomenal teacher, phenomenal business owner, and just phenomenal human being. So do check out Yoga Elements. Kevin Evers of Elevate 920. That's a philanthropic group that I'm a part of. Business owners and individuals of all different kinds that give quarterly to nonprofits in our area. So there's 4 nonprofit organizations, local nonprofit organizations that get anywhere. I think we have maybe like 95 members, and they usually will get a check for like $9,000-$10,000 for their organization. So do check out Elevate 920. Fantastic cause. And then everybody who's supported my business, Yoga Story. Thank you for practicing with me, for supporting me however you have. And then I think that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Let's see. I've got a good list here. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Andy Anam. Andy is my partner in crime at work right now and truly has become my partner in crime. And you know what? Work is always so much better when you have somebody who you work with and yeah, you know, you work on projects together, you go to events and things together, and it's just nice to have that person, that home base partner in crime to go do those things with. It just makes work real cool. So big shout out to Andy. I want to send a shout out to my man Lyle. Another great comedy show at the Times. Loved the comedy show. I want to send a shout out to Eben and Jody from Celebrate Diversity. Thank you. They recently came and recorded with me for the Appleton Engaged podcast, and it was just a fantastic show. Want to send out to Orson, who owns Sheree's Peanut Brittle, which is Ghana Brittle. Met Orson, was blown away by him. Just a fantastic gentleman in our community. And when you go to the farmer's market and you see the Ghana Brittle, support it, because it's something different and it is amazing. All right. Want to send a shout out to WPR's Story Corps. So I went and did what's called Story Corps, where you go and there's this cool camper, and they've got basically a recording studio put into this camper, and you go with another individual and you do 40 minutes, and it's this intimate conversation of questions, and you're sharing about it. And what it eventually does is, if you give the release, it gets put in like some congressional vault, audio vault of recordings that have all these stories in them. So it's supposed to be like the largest collection of stories, just from different individuals. There was no previous criteria to do it. I just happened to get an email because of my work, and was like, yeah, I'm totally going to go do this. So I totally went and did it. And it was just a really cool experience overall. Want to send a shout out to Jennifer at the College of Business. Big shout out. Shout out to Claire at the PAC, new community engagement person, as well as their diversity, equity, and inclusion person. Just a cool lady. And Hope. I got to meet Hope, who is the executive director of Girls on the Run. And that was a really good meeting, which I didn't know about that organization, but it does some pretty amazing things. So, and yeah, I think that is it for me in shout outs. So, Jessica, there's only one thing left to do. And that is, you get two choices, but you get, well, three choices really. Okay. So you can leave Kosh listeners with parting words of wisdom, or you can tell the Kosh listeners, what would yourself today tell your 12-year-old self? Or I always like option C, which is all of the above. So let's go.
Yeah, I think my parting words of wisdom would be what I would tell my 12-year-old self, which is to be real and honest with yourself, and to give yourself grace. Notorious perfectionist, so to work hard and think deep and be myself, while also giving myself grace when I don't always get it, when I don't always hit the mark. I think it's hugely important for everybody. Yeah.
Facts. All right. What you think?
I love this. Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much.
Yes, the Kosh.